All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first webinar of the season. We hope all of you are doing well and excited for the upcoming season as we are. Want to thank Rob Mackett and Larry Rorta, again, being one of the first associations to volunteer and willingly do these webinars for us, share the knowledge that they have and share within their association as we continue to grow, promote, and try to become one on the field and throughout the state, even through the challenges that we have in our own areas. Kind of like last year, they'll be ran the same way. They're just going to share ideas and thoughts and things that they do within their association, their best practices, not necessarily saying that this is the way it has to be done, this is the way it must be done, or anything like that. So if anything, any of our associations say throughout the webinars that we host and hold throughout the coming weeks, please feel free to use them, integrate them in within your own trainings, and things like that. So by no means are we saying that GNOA and the way they're doing them is the top way. So please, I just want to stress that please don't take that as this is the end all say all on how to handle these topics. The chat box or the Q&A box is open throughout this webinar. So if you have questions on anything throughout this webinar, please feel free to ask in that box. This year, I would like to kind of stay focused on these webinars and not necessarily general questions. I was speaking with Larry a little earlier. I'm going to try to get myself and the football administrator on just a webinar that is FHSA specific, going over dates and things like that. So if we can just have questions, comments, and things like that based on the webinars at hand, that would be greatly appreciated. And again, feel free to email me at any time if you have a question or need something answered. Please don't shy away from reaching out to my office. So with that, I would like to turn over to Rob, Larry, introduce themselves, and I'll turn it over to them. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm Larry Rorta, and I'm going to be hosting most of this seminar. Rob, jump in whenever you would like, please. Appreciate that. And Jeremy said this exactly correctly, and that is I certainly don't know the only way to do things. And these are just some things that I've picked up over the time. Most of it I've learned from other officials or observing, and I'll probably learn something tonight. So the first thing we're going to talk about now is preventing extreme confrontations. And right out of the chute, we got to realize that we cannot prevent all of them. As well as we officiate and as much preventive officiating as we do, there's still going to be sometime in this season that's something's going to come up that we couldn't prevent. And one of these situations comes to my mind. We had a really calm game going on. We were going, everything was really cool, no problems at all. We had a 40-yard run. Guy gets tackled, and the defensive back decides that he didn't like that and jumped on top and started slugging the guy when he was on the ground. And nothing was preceded that at all. And we had an extreme confrontation right there that we couldn't prevent. So let's try to prevent those that we can, but know that we are not going to be foolproof 100%. Beginning this thing, I think that our initial presentation to the coach is going to be a big thing in keeping his confrontations at a minimum. We want to be confident without arrogance. And there's a way to do that. We want to be, have a little bit of humor without being foolish, or without a bunch of foolishness, because really nobody likes to listen or respect arrogant fools. And so I think that is really important. When we go out to talk to the coaches, we want to have confidence. We can have a little bit of humor, but we don't want to be foolish. We want to show our competence. We want that we are competent, strong, humble, ready to enforce the rules and allow the coaches and players to determine the outcome. I think that sets this stage. We can also take our lead from the head coach. When we go out there to make that initial conversation with head coach, we can take our lead from him. In sales, it's called mirroring. If you got a coach that likes to joke around a bit, then, joke around with him. Do what he's doing to you. If you got a coach that really doesn't want anything to do with you and he just wants to get out of there, I would suggest that you let him out of there. Do the minimum, get him to do what he needs to do and let him go. They're both going to like the way that you have mirrored their approach. And that is a sales technique. It's good for this as well. When you're out there on the field as a referee, you need to know your wing official. If you're a wing official, you need to know your referee. I know that when I'm working with some of the younger wings that I may need to, as a referee, be a little bit more prevalent or present on their sideline to assist in heading off some altercations down the road. I also know that when I used to work the wing position that there were some white hats that I didn't want to see come over to my sideline because I knew that there was going to be problems if they came over. So know who you're dealing with and know when you want them to come over. I know that many of the crews that I'm on now, I can let those wing guys just go all day long and I don't need to go over to the sidelines. They've got it under control, and which is a really good thing. I think allowing the coach the opportunity to get after you as a referee on your terms at a good time for you is a great thing. A coach might just be upset and, if you can get over to him at a water break in between quarters at halftime and just let him yell at you, or at least stand there while he's busy doing something else, allowing him that opportunity should he want it. I think that goes a long way. Be available and, do it on your terms. I also think that sometimes, wing guys and referees themselves are looking for some type of, attaboy from the coach, and we don't want to do that. The wing guys need to get over there, tell the coaches what you've got, give them the penalty, and get out of there, whether they're going to like it or not. If they're going to like it, give it to them the same way that the penalty that they're not going to like, and just get out of there. Just give them the facts and get out. Don't stick around. If you stick around, you're just waiting for and asking for trouble. If a coach comes out on the field past the numbers and begins to get near the hash to talk with the referee or talk or yell at the referee without calling a timeout, I suggest you go ahead and the referee just run, jog back towards the sideline and call a timeout for the coach. If he's out there on the field and hasn't called a timeout, then he shouldn't be. He probably needs a timeout, and that's one of Shannon McPhee's nuggets. Give him that timeout. And if he doesn't want the timeout, then you can always give him an unsportsmanlike for being out on the field. If he wanted the timeout, that's great. You would have run him off to the sideline anyway, and he can have that conference. And you don't need to make a big deal out of it, and just do it. Makes it easy. If a coach does call timeout to discuss the misapplication of the rule, the likelihood is he just needs to yell at you for a while. He might be under some pressure. He may need to show the players he's got their backs, or he may need to show the fans that he's into the game and wants to save his job. Go ahead, let him yell for a little bit, as long as he's not being using profanity and staying within reasonableness. Let him yell at you a little bit. You can stand there, you can look at him, you can take it, and at the end of the day, then you just need to let him know that, hey, we're good, coach. If we missed that, or if we did something wrong there, we're going to learn about it. We'll see it on the film. But right now, we're going to go ahead and work strong, and we're going to finish this game strong. We good? And just get back out on the field. So take a little bit of medicine, face up to it. Tell him that you're going to work the rest of the game hard and get out of there. Assistant coaches can be a problem. If we've got one specific assistant coach that's causing us problems over and over again, it can fester. So if we do have an assistant coach that we can't stop, let's go ahead and get to the head coach, identify him for him, and ask him to take care of it. It shouldn't be a big deal, but we shouldn't let it fester. Sometimes an assistant coach can be the guy that starts the brigade and creates some type of altercation later on. I've also found that, after halftime is really a good time to get into the losing or the unhappy camp. There's probably, it could be a tie game. It could be really even. And that point, no problem. But if you've got one team that's getting whacked, uh, after they come out at halftime, you might want to just go over there and stand, close to them, walk out with the head coach, ask them if everything's okay, they need anything, get to the quarterback, get to the offensive, leader, see if they need anything. Just show them that you're there. Show them that you're there. Give them an opportunity to get after you if you want. They probably are not going to, but if you're there, they can, and which is all a good thing. All right, so let's talk about players for a little bit. With the players, we just need to show our stripes early, show our stripes often. It means, for those of you new, that just means, show your presence. You've got stripes on for a reason so that you stand out in front of everybody. So go ahead, get over there, get loud, get so that they can hear you, and talking in a positive manner, and show your stripes. I also think that you need to show your stripes early and often for both offenses. And that first series, I think, is really important for both offenses. So first of all, you got a kickoff, and then you've got one team going on offense. After you have that punt or change of possession, you've got another offense, you've got another defense out there. So you need to show your stripes strong on both of those first series. You got to work with the wings so that the guys are lining up properly on both of those first series. When you got to run at the end of the run, I like to get in there, after the play is over, on the first few plays for sure, so that everybody knows that we're not going to have anything late. Nothing's going to come in dirty at the end of the play. But you need to do that for both offenses on their first series. One of the things you can do is just talk loudly at the end of the play. You get in there, you get 5 yards from the ball carrier, and you yell, you talk loudly, in a positive manner. Great job, guys. Both teams looking good. Great job. And you can do it loud. The umpire and the referee out in the middle of the field, they're the ones that ought to be able to maintain that interior peace. And you can do that with a loud voice. The back judge and the wings, when they let that excessive chicken fighting go on and occurred, in the first quarter, they're just causing, problems for themselves later. You need to stop that stuff early. And you don't want to do it with flags. Stop it with, with your mouth, with positive verbiage, and showing your stripes. If you absolutely positively have to, drop a flag on it and stop it, but it needs to be stopped. If you just let the chicken fighting go on, pretty soon it's going to escalate. And in the fourth quarter, we've got an issue, and we don't want that. So let's stop it early. I'd much rather stop something in the first quarter than have it fester and well up and have a problem in the fourth. The runner can cause problems, particularly in that first series, or if you've got a substitute running back that's coming in and hasn't played for 3 games and he's getting his first chance in there. Those guys, after they run and get tackled, if they're popping up too fast and knocking people off of them on the way up, they can cause problems. Those offensive players, and that is really going to cause a problems because the defenders are the ones that are going to be, the nasty guys. So if they're the ones that are kind of the recipients of the problem, we need to get in there and let them know that we've got the running back. Get on the running back. It doesn't require a flag, but get in there and you let the running back know that slow down, take your time getting up, make sure that the defense hears you talking to him about that, and say, hey, we got this, 22, slow down, give them a chance to get off you. And I think that's important. If you don't get on that running back can cause all kinds of problems for you. And we don't need to do that with flags. We just need to do that by getting ourselves in there closer to the play at the end of the run and use our good voice, positive voice. If you have a player that's too aggressive after the play, bordering on a personal foul, Use your voice to inform your fellow officials. Watch number 54. We got 54, watch 54. And then make sure that 54's teammates hear that. And the leader of 54's team, whoever that is, probably not the captain, but it could be another linebacker. It could be a defensive lineman. Make sure that he hears that they get 54 under control. That will go a long way in maintaining peace and order and civility. And be loud. It doesn't require a flag to maintain control. If things really get bad, and before a brawl occurs, you don't want to use this too often, but when you need it, you need it. You're going to stop the clock. I would stop the clock and move the teams away from the line of scrimmage and let the referee go talk to both head coaches. It gives a pause in the game. It may cool a couple of heads. The coaches now are both on notice that we've got a potential problem. They need to keep these players under control. At that point, we need to get the umpire and the back judge in between the teams, and then you get the wing officials over there to just kind of witness the discussion with the referee and the coaches. And this doesn't have to take forever. And this isn't meant to, to showcase the referee so that he can make a spectacle of himself. And I wouldn't suggest using this every game, but when you do need it, play that card. Go ahead and use it. It shouldn't take more than 2 minutes, 2 minutes max. I mean, 2 minutes is a long time. It's going to take less than that. Run over, be brief, talk to him, get over to the other side, get back over. There you go. If we do have a bench clearing brawl, and sometimes they occur, you just can't avoid it. Maybe you didn't do a good job as a crew and you got a bench clearing ball. The wings need to keep the players on the sidelines if they can. So the wings, in my opinion, and you guys have other ideas, then great. I'd love to hear them. But the wing guys on both sides, I would think their first move needs to be to turn their back to the middle of the field, turn to the sideline, and keep guys from going onto the field. If they can keep guys from going onto the field, then we've got fewer guys that are potentially going to get ejected. So that would be my suggestion. If we've got a coach that's being positive, I'm going to let him slip by me. Let him get out there on the field. If you've got a coach that's going to be a problem, you're going to stop him too. But if you've got a peacekeeping coach, let him slip by you. Let him do his job. That would be my suggestion. Covering officials, of course, they need to do their best at breaking the thing up. But then at some point, if we are having a brawl or some type of a fight, you need to back up and then just start taking names and numbers. If we ever have a running clock and it looks like a brawl is about ready to occur, I mean, just let the clock run. Just let the clock run. I just about started the ready for play, and there was no reason to start this ready for play on a 45 seconds left in the game. Both teams were mad at each other. They're about ready to go at it again. And, a smart enough guy on my crew just, steps in and says, hey, Larry, I got to talk to you for a second. And I come up there, says, we just don't need to start this clock. Let's talk about something that's going to take 45 seconds and get these guys off the field. So I think that is a good lesson. If we don't have to start the doggone clock and let a brawl occur, then don't do it. And we're most likely going to have that type of situation where the players or a coach doesn't have anything left to lose. If it's the last game of the season, that's when we're going to have it. You got seniors that are never going to play again. That's when we might have it. It's the team that's going to be knocked out of the tournament. Those are the guys that don't have anything to lose any longer. And so we need to make sure that we keep the team that's going to be moving on clean. Let them go forward with their team intact. If we do have ejections, we need to have more than one official write it down. And if I'm a crew chief out there, I'm going to make sure that we've got myself and at least two other guys are going to be writing down name, number, the time that it occurred, just exactly what we're going to be putting on the report. And I'm going to be on the radio talking to the timekeeper as well, because he might have a bigger piece of paper to write on. But we're going to have that many people that have the report all ready to go. So when we get done with the game and we have to report this thing, and we don't want to do it, but we're going to have to, we're not going to have anything to debate. We have the numbers, we've got the names, we know what happened, we know when it happened. It's just bang, 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 and we're done. We report, we walk away. So that would be my suggestion. So that kind of, is it for segment one. I don't know if you have any questions out there, or anybody wants to, debate anything I said, Jeremy, or we can move on if you would like, or open it up.
There's a couple here. Let me kind of go through them, and I'll let you see if you can answer them. If a head coach, this is kind of like a suggestion or a thought. If a head coach has an issue with the side official, they can have another official be near that conversation and ensure to make a mental note as what's being said between the coach and referee. I guess just in case there's more ears, that way it's not turns into a he said, she said. It's just kind of a suggestion, recommendation, as kind of someone has started as a practice for their crew, it looks like.
That's a great recommendation. That's a great recommendation. Have more than one witness, particularly if the coach, if you're going over to the sideline because the coach has a situation with his wing official already, get another witness. So bring the umpire over, bring the back judge over, somebody like that. That's a great suggestion.
And then there was another one regarding calming down the teams. They slow down the play, kind of how you were talking, and then they tell the back judge to run the 40 seconds slower to kind of help with calming things down, slowing the play down, kind of as you were suggesting, things like that, to help with situations like that.
That's really a great idea as well. And we used to be able to utilize that quite nicely, but now we have so many schools that have 40-second clocks, and the clock operator is just going to be automatic. So until we get to that running clock scenario, sometimes we're hamstrung with that. If we're in a JV game or we don't have a 40-second clock, that's a great suggestion. Love it. Perfect.
That's all I had. I'll kind of touch on brawls from our side of it as the association, since we kind of led that direction. When we have those unfortunate incidents, obviously no one wants to be writing the report or unfortunately having to notify us of it. Just please, kind of how Larry was talking, be as thorough as possible. At the end of the day, we will send out an investigation report regarding that incident because we want to make sure everything is, or as much as possible, is caught. And with players running around and coaches running around, making sure right numbers were kind of written down, and an 8 didn't look like a 3, or a 3 looked like an 8, and a 5 looked like a 9, just because we know how some of those numbers look. We do our due diligence on those incidents to make sure we get those as accurate and clear as possible and over to the schools. So once we get those, before we hand out any punishments or sanctions, we have them answer about 13 questions as far as who was on the field, the starters for offensive defense, who was on the who left the bench. If there was anybody who left the bench, we have them self-report, we have them provide film, we have them what led up to the incident. So we have a good 8 to 12 questions that we ask them, and then we look at the film before we even start looking at that ourselves. So when those incidents happen, something's going to be missed, a bunch might be missed, and I know at the end of the day, you guys are trying to keep your guys' self safe as well, and not getting hit or punched or things like that, being perceived as touching the players or pushing them, or you punch them. So we know those situations are hectic, and we don't like it for anyone involved. We had one for the spring that we had to work through, unfortunately. So just as best as possible, be thorough and get those in as soon as possible, because we do investigate those. And at the same time, we know games are still happening. We like to get those out and things like that, but we will take our time. The one for the spring, obviously we have a little more time. We took about 2 weeks with that one. But again, It's unfortunate. We don't like to. We don't want to plan for it, even though it needs to be planned for. And hopefully, associations are going through those, and maybe even during some of the camps that are held, the officials camps that you work with the teams, set up a dummy kind of brawl where kids aren't, I mean, obviously not punching at each other and things like that, but role playing what to do for coaches. What are they supposed to do? Keep your sideline clear. Don't let them rush the field. Officials, what are you doing during those times at the different positions? So again, as much as we don't want to, it's never a bad idea to prepare for those unforeseen instances. Larry, if you want to continue, just my 2 cents. So go for it, Larry. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hey, I'm going to start into just kind of part two of this talk tonight. We're talking about productive pregame meetings. And, I've been a referee for quite a while, and I was a wing official prior to that. And so I've conducted myself, led some poor pregame meetings and led some good ones. I've listened to some bad ones and, listened to some great ones. So, I've been guilty and, and productive at the same time. But here's what I've kind of come up with and learned over the years. And that is, there's some things that you just don't want to do in your pregame. And I think that is number one, just lecture to your crew. You'll lose them. If I go into a pregame and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to listen to a referee lecture to me for 45 minutes before I on into the field, I'm not going to be ready. It's not going to help me. He'll lose me. I'm going to be ready. I'm ready to go do something. So I would suggest that you don't want to lecture to the crew, and you also shouldn't, get off into the weeds. In some type of play that only is going to happen on a Pop Warner game on Saturday, and just crazy, silly things. So I think that you need to have a plan. Don't get off into the weeds. I don't think you should discuss rules or situations that you don't have an answer for. I really don't. I mean, I've got kind of a little rule off my crew is if you're going to surprise me with the hardest question in the book, don't do it at pregame. Give me before the pregame, during the week, and that's great. We'll talk about that all day long. If we want to talk about, rule enforcement, just regular rule enforcement during a pregame, all at it, go for it. But don't give me the hardest, most difficult deal right before the game, and then ask us to, figure it out. That's just not a bad thing. That's just not a good thing. Excuse me. And I think that you don't need to discuss the assigning issues of your association or, who's going to be the next president. I don't think you need to do that. If you got guys that want to come to your pregame and start bitching about the assigner, shut them up. That's what I would do. So there's some things I think that you don't want to do in the pregame. The things you should do, in my opinion, is keep everybody engaged. Keep everybody engaged as part of the crew. And so the guy that's the newest on the crew, that's the youngest, most inexperienced, he should play a part in the pregame. One of the things we want to do is make everybody confident before leaving the locker room. I mean, as a crew chief, as a leader, I want everybody leaving the locker room ready to officiate, knowing that they're ready to do the job. I don't want any doubt on my crew as we leave the locker room and head to the field. I know that we're going to put a better product on the field if we're ready to go. We're positive. It's just like playing another sport. You don't want your basketball team to go out there thinking that they're no good. So you want your crew, your officiating crew, going out there onto the field, knowing that they are capable and ready to do a good job. We want to create a team atmosphere where everyone will have each other's back. And I truly mean that. And you can do that during your pregame. You can also cause animosity if you want to during your pregame, and that would be terrible. So create a team atmosphere before you take the field. Make your pregame interesting if you can. You just try to keep people engaged and make it a little bit interesting. Change it up. You don't want to do the same thing every week. I mean, I tend to, probably overuse one of my formats for pre-games a little bit. But I try not to. Try to change it up a little bit and have a little bit of fun. It shouldn't be a total, laugh fest during the pregame. But I think that, we're out there to enjoy ourselves, to have a good night doing football, to give these guys a good game. It's okay to have a little bit of fun in the pregame. And I truly, truly mean that. One of the ideas, one of the things that I like to do with my pregame is assigning each official on the crew a topic, and give them 3 minutes, give them 5 minutes, but you give them a short period of time in which to present that topic to the group. And you let them know that you don't want them reading out of the book, but bring us the topic. So as an example, on any given night, I might have the umpire, talk to us about the free blocking zone and explain to us again, what is a chop block? What is a chop block? Might have the linesman going through the mechanics of a measurement. What is everybody going to be doing during the measurement? Might have the line judge talking us through the free kick positioning and the potential fouls before the end of a kick. There's 100 different topics. Might have the back judge talking about post scrimmage kick enforcement. Now, all of those assignments had something to do with the positioning on the field for the most part. You to assign the umpire pass interference restrictions doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So give them something that they're going to use during the game. Let them become the expert on it. When they have to study and prepare to make the presentation during the pregame, they've already had to prepare a little bit before they got to the field. So I think that that is good. Now, the referee needs to be able to take over. If one of those guys comes unprepared, comes ready to read out of the book, or is going to do something incorrectly, you need to step up and correct it and do it right. So the referee needs to have all of that already prepared and ready to take over and jump in and handle it. And then the referee is going to cover the rest of it, and you can do that by asking questions. And I'm going to have my agenda for the pregame for the rest of my talk prepared and ready to go. I think you also need to let the official own his own assignment unless he's unprepared. I mean, just let him go, let him talk. Some of us are better orators than others, but let him do it. If he's got it prepared and he's got it going, let him do it. Let him get it done, and I think it makes good sense. Another idea that you might want to try is handing out the list of fundamentals. I think the fundamentals are sometimes overlooked. And you can just have the fundamentals read. You can have each guy on your crew read 3 to 5 fundamentals, go around the horn, and that gets you talking about football. And then the referee can step in and take over the rest of what he wants to cover for the night. Where are we going to be standing? What are we going to be covering? How are we going to work together, etc. Another idea that I've used is, assigning a topic to each official and then ask them to bring 2 questions for the group on their topic. So they have to go out and find a legit question, not some off the wall question, but a legitimate question about their topic with the answer, the correct answer and documentation, so that they can then quiz the group. So now you've got the umpire talking about the free blocking zone, but is going to quiz the group and give them a question about the free blocking zone. Well, now he's become the expert because he's the one with the questions. He knows the answer. He can discuss it, and you've got the rest of the crew now engaged in answering the question. I think that's kind of fun once in a while. Another thing that we've done, I haven't done this a lot, but towards the tail end of the season, after you've had 6, 7, 8, 10, pre-games with the same group, you might split them. I've split my crew into 2 teams. And you had them write questions on topics, and then we had a contest. We quizzed each other, and kind of went through that. But you had to have the right answer. You had to have the documentation to back it up, and we weren't going to go searching for the answers afterwards. One of the things I like to do as a referee is I like to be quizzed by the aspiring white hats on my crew, the guys that are learning to be, referees they're refereeing at the JV level, the freshman level. I like to be quizzed by them with the signals and yardage on penalties. I think it's great. It's great for me. It's great for them. So they can hit me and try to stump me, and they do from time to time, which is great because it keeps me thinking about what is the correct signal, and what is the yardage. And those guys, since they're given the quiz, they're also learning it as well. Pre-game really is meant to be preparation to do your best job on the field. So don't get guys pissed at each other during pregame. I mean, I've been doing this long enough where I've seen guys get mad at each other during the pregame. And as a crew chief, you need to be able to handle that. If you see something going on, figure it out, get in the middle, stop it, because your guys have got to go out there and you've got to win the war together. Laugh a little bit while you're getting your game face on. You get out there, get ready to go out, take the field before a baseball game, basketball game as an athlete. You guys are going to laugh a little bit together. You're going to have your game face on, but you're going to laugh a little bit together. And I think that makes it more fun to me. If you can go out with your buddies, your friends, the guys that you're going to have in battle, laugh a little bit with them, and they know that you've got their back, then you're going to be a good crew. Every once in a while, we'll get a guy in our crew that just won't shut up, just won't stop talking. And you need to be able to stop him. You do. You just need to be able to stop the guy from talking. You might be able to just say, "Hey, Eddie, shut up." And we've had to do that sometimes, and everybody understands it. And you'll get help, but don't let one guy just run his mouth and destroy your pregame by just talking through the whole thing. You need to know your audience, so know who your crew is each week. If you've got 4 relatively new officials, don't take your 700 level pregame into that. Take your 100 level pregame into that. Get them comfortable, make them happy, get them confident so they're ready to go out and kick butt. Know the guys that are going to be officiating with. One of the things that I've learned to do is to kind of keep a 3-ring binder. I keep a 3-ring binder so that when I go into a pregame, I've got all of the subjects that we're going to cover ready to go. So if I know that my umpire is going to talk about, the free blocking zone, I've got free blocking zone in my binder ready to go. If I need to pull it out, I've got all of the notes that I want to hit on that. I'm also going to have my fundamentals. I'm going to have all the pre-games that I had the season before, and I just keep them in there. And I can refer to them wherever I want. I also need to throw them out after a season or two. Rules can change. You don't want to get stale. You don't want to rely upon regurgitated data. Just go ahead and do it as me. That's for me, just for me, so that I'm fresh and on top of my game with the rules. At the end of the pregame, I want to know that everybody knows who they're going to be counting. Everybody knows what they're going to be doing and where they're going to line it up on kickoffs and punts, tries, and scrimmage plays. I want to know that at the end of the pregame. I want to know that our ball handling is going to be good. I want to know that the linesman and the line judge are going to be working together. They know who each other are. They know their signals. They talked about their signals in front of us and acknowledged it. I want to know that the referee and the umpire are going to work well together. They know when they're going to get their counts. They know how they're going to mark off penalties and how they're going to discuss that prior to. The deep wings and the short wings need to work together. And I want to know that the back judge is ready to assist the referee with the clock starting at the snap or the ready. I want to know that before I go out onto the field. Everyone remembers we're not to be remembered. When we go out there, before we leave the locker room, we need to remind each other that we're not going out there to make a statement. We don't want people to remember us. We want to get out there, get our game in, and get out. Let the coaches, let the players determine the outcome, and then just get the heck out of there and have some fun in the process. So those are some of my ideas on a pregame. I'll open it up to any comments or suggestions.
We did have a couple come through on the first topic, Larry. When stopping the game to talk to the head coaches regarding the game getting out of control, often at least one of the coaches will take that opportunity to complain about the other team or even the coaches. How might you respond to a situation like that?
Well, I would probably listen briefly and then just let them know that we have bigger problems. They are having the same type of issue on their sideline coach. We've got to stop what's going on the field. We can't have this continuing any longer. I hear you. I understand what you just said to me. We've got it. And that's why we're stopping the game right now. I'm going to go right over and talk to him next. So he's going to hear me next.
Awesome. And this might be something we have to take to the higher ups. So if you don't have an answer that's okay. In a blowout game, why not turn off the 40-second clock?
Yeah, I think that is probably something that is beyond my pay grade. We could do that if a school, if you guys want to do that. Um, that's fine.
I agree.
In a blowout game, Jeremy, I just want to interject if I could. In a blowout game like that, I think the fact that we put the clock operator slowly on the 40-second clock, let them delay a few seconds, because the fewer plays we can get off, the better in a blowout game. Nothing good happens in a running clock game. Either something's going to break out in terms of a melee, or somebody's going to get hurt. So the fewer plays that we can operate, the better. If we can operate every play at 40 seconds, right at the 40-second mark, and delay that 40-second clock from starting, and if every play runs a minute, that's, that's the best you can possibly do. So,
and I think that's something that myself or the football director, once they're announced, may be able to take to the board to see if it's becoming an issue when these blowouts do happen. We're still running plays, and we're running 10 plays within the last few minutes because they have 40 seconds. That if we can cut some of those out by possibly turning that off, they may allow that. They may be up for it. So that's something we can definitely look into if there's continued issues and things like that in blowout games.
yeah, and remember, our umpire can help us control that, okay? Because even if the 40-second clock's running, they can't snap it unless the ball's down on the ground and he's backed away from it. So we can slow things down. I don't know how their associations do it. I'm sure they're the same. We want our guys hustling. We want to get as many plays in as possible. We want to keep the flow of the game going. But once it turns into a running clock, we turn that all around, and we're trying to go as slow as possible to have as few plays as possible.
In today's atmosphere, when you have a fight/brawl, what is the consensus regarding officials attempting to break up the altercation? And I'll kind of go first from ours, for our point of view. I know associations may do it a little bit different, just to kind of help out. We would rather officials kind of back out and kind of get us not as far away, but just away from it. So again, you're not perceived to be pushing the athletes, or you punch the athlete, or you punch the coach, or something like that. So while you're blowing your whistle, you're paying attention to what's going on. You're gathering numbers, you're gathering the information, but definitely don't go in and where it can be perceived that you pushed them down, you're breaking them up, things like that. So from our office, that's what we would like. However, I know when you're in that battle of the game and in that mindset, that's hard because you don't want things to escalate, and getting involved might just come natural. But Larry, Rob, I'll turn it over to you guys to kind of what do you tell your officials when that happens?
Larry? Well, what we have to do initially, I mean, initially we have to start to try to stop it from occurring. So right away, you're going to jump in there and try to get in the middle of it and stop it. Once you determine that you're not going to be able to stop it, and it is beyond that, then you need to get yourself out of there. You just do, and that's hard, but you just need to get yourself out of there. But initially, I don't see how we can prevent or keep ourselves from getting in between two guys that are going to start trying to fight. That's what we're there for. We need to show our stripes and we need to get into it. Now, once it's gone beyond the point where we can't assist, we need to get out. We just need to get out.
Yeah, I believe so.
Jeremy,
too.
will that work?
I believe so too. And one thing, Larry, you talked about pre-games, and you talked about the crew, and we talked about eliminating contentious things that happen on the field. The clock operators are essential parts of the crew, and they come to all the pre-games with us. I'm sure most of the associations, that's the case. We like our clock operators to take a clipboard up to the press box with them and to chart the penalties. And if a brawl breaks out, they should be under instructions to listen, watch. They're the eye in the sky. They've got a bigger, wider angle view of the entire field to watch and see what happens, and to mark down, maybe with a separate piece of paper, and to write down what they saw. If they saw 58 White throwing a punch on the far side, or multiple punches, they need to write that down, and they're part of the crew as well.
Agreed. Understood. Hey, Harvey Plemons makes a good note here. I think that this is what the state wants, is that when you do have a report that you need to write, um, don't sugarcoat what they said. You say, you write what they said. If it's profane, you write profanity. Is that right, Jeremy?
That is correct. Yes. I know in different areas they have different requirements, even as far as their county AD. The first sign of a cuss word or first hearing of a cuss word, and those county ADs wants their players ejected. But please, let us know what they're saying. Tell us exactly what they're saying. If it's directed at you, let us know, because there's a different sanction from our office if it's directed towards an official or an adult compared to just an athlete or another player. If they say F you to a player, it's not, I don't want to say it's not seen as bad, but it doesn't carry as much weight as if they're saying to the official, because you're adults, we want you as the officials respect it. That carries additional weight that if they're saying it to you. So be specific in that regards. Who are they saying it to? Whether it's about the play and the call, you throw a flag for holding, even if they say that was effing BS, that's directed to you. You made the call. So we relate that as being to you. Now, they may not have been facing you. They may not have been looking at you. But at the end of the day, it was a result of the penalty that was called on them. So be specific. The same with coaches. If they're dropping 4 or 5 F-bombs, let us know. There's a penalty for coaches dropping F-bombs and cuss words to our officials as well for each one. It's not just oh, they said it one time, okay, well, it is what it is. No, they get penalized for each time it's said. So whether it's a game or monetary, there's a penalty for a coach acting out like that. So yes, that was a great, I know Harvey put that in. That is definitely highly encouraged from our end as well. Well, I'm not seeing any others. We're not quite at the hour mark. So if there are any last questions or thoughts, ideas, please feel free. Again, want to thank Larry and Rob for volunteering and coming on board tonight to do this for us. Want to thank all of our officials who joined us tonight. We were up in the 160 range. So the more that we do, hopefully that number increases. And we continue these for all of our sports. Anything else, Rob, Larry, that you have? I have a couple thank yous coming in, so our officials are appreciative of it as well. So again, like I said, thank you from the FHSA to Rob and Larry for jumping on.
Thanks for the opportunity. Let's have a good season, huh?
Yes, sir. When is the next webinar? I'll answer that one real quick. I will be sending out an email tomorrow. It is planned for next Wednesday at 6. So we have Gulf Coast hosting that one. It's kind of not in the same regards, but it's more of communication with coaches and things like that. So I see an early theme of kind of what's happening throughout the state, it seems like already, from the past season of communication and trying to handle things before they get too far to hand. So if that's what we need to discuss and need to cover, and that's what's been an issue or a problem, then I'm more than happy to allow those to take place. And this is a great avenue that we've been able to start with COVID taking place. Maybe one of the only good things that's come out of it, being able to reach out to a whole bunch of you at one time without having to travel 2-3 hours for an hour meeting or something like that. So again, appreciate all of you. I know it was a hectic season this past year, and hopefully you've heard it from whether as a student or a school or a coach. Hopefully you heard it at least once. Thank you and everything that you guys did this season, guys and girls. It was appreciated, and I know at the end of the season, seeing those kids there at FSU Stadium there in Tallahassee playing for championships, there wasn't a better look on any of those kids' faces when they were out there competing. So thank you. Can't say it enough. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.